The Supreme Court sets aside the acquittal of G.N. Sai Baba, who's accused of Maoist links. Centre files a fresh affidavit in the Supreme Court asking the states now to be made a party in the entire case. Star power on full display in the state of Karnataka. Kiccha and JP Nadda accompany Basavaraj Bommai earlier as he was filing his nominations. Maharashtra Minister Gulabra Patil raising eyebrows with Pawar play not over yet remark. Search intensifying for Atiq's wife. Sources say she's in hiding in Kaushambi. And the Indians stranded in Sudan appeal for help from the government amidst the civil war. A very good evening. You're watching The Burning Question and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. The last, few hours have been very, very fascinating as we are looking at a huge and a vociferous debate in the Supreme Court. This is the debate, ladies and gentlemen, on the same-sex marriage that many say is likely only to grow. Are we as a society today ready to accept same-sex marriages? This was the second day of hearing in the Supreme Court where the centre has filed a fresh affidavit. It is seeking states' intervention because the centre here says that marriage, again, remember, is a state subject, and this is the reason why we need to have a larger discussion to be able to understand what really are their apprehensions, what really are their concerns. The union government, hence, is writing to all states seeking their views on the petition seeking legal validation to marriage between same-sex couples and or people belonging to the LGBTQ+ community. Now, according to the centre, the decision on the matter requires an assessment of the ramifications on existing social customs, practice, values, norms, state roots. The states have been asked to give their views in about 10 days. But what's also happened today is that the Supreme Court has spoken on the concern and the entire argument that, remember, was made by the centre yesterday. The centre, remember, had said that this is against India's culture, quote unquote. The centre had also called this an urban elitist concept. Now, the Supreme Court says that the government does not have any data right now to prove this. This is just a matter of belief. And also, very importantly, what the Supreme Court has done is that it has steered very clear of the personal laws. It says we are not going into the personal laws at all. What we'll do is that we look at the same-sex marriages with the ambit of the Special Marriage Act. So we as a country, like I asked initially, are we ready for that huge change? The centre, after a decriminalized homosexuality, is this a natural progression? What really are the concerns so far? We are putting out all the arguments that we've seen on day 2 of that big debate in the Supreme Court, and then we carry forward this conversation.
Supreme Court of India is hearing the landmark case of same-sex marriage.
Then, when I go somewhere, again those problems arise. They say, no, Supreme Court hasn't given you anything. Given you a badge of being married, fine. In society, you can go around and say, I am a couple who's married. But what is the real impact on the ground? Therefore, my lord, I have framed 1 or 2 reliefs, which I'll indicate. I'm only saying, my lord, idea should not be to go on revisiting.
Centre opposed the same-sex marriage and has filed a fresh affidavit.
This is a matter, may I read that only?
So they are now, you have told them that this matter is going on.
Yeah. Matter is going on. There are...
That's excellent. So that now, it's not that the states are unaware. You have informed them that if somebody has to say something, they'll...
That would not, my lord, dilute my request that states should be issued notices. That's all. I'm, my lord, making it...
Centre now wants all states and union territories to be a part in the case.
On the day 2 of the hearing in same-sex marriage issue, the Chief Justice of India said that more people in the urban areas are coming out of the closet as regards to their sexual identity, but that does not mean that the government has any data to show that such concepts or demands for same-sex marriages are limited to urban elitist population.
Centre has also written to all states asking their views and submit it in 10 days. The debate is only getting bigger with the likelihood of states getting involved. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, the court very, very importantly here has been trying to make a distinction between the personal laws and the Special Marriage Act. It says for the moment it's only looking at this entire issue with the purview of the Special Marriage Act. But you would recall that the government, even on day 2, has kind of insisted that this is not the domain of the court. Instead, it's the domain of the parliament. That's an argument that has been made and pushed forward for the last few weeks as we've seen this huge debate. Deshratan Nigam is an advocate of the Supreme Court with us, along with Mithun Vijay Kumar, who's a political analyst on the broadcast from Calicut this evening. Harish Iyer, equal rights activist. Harish, it's good to have you back here on Republic. Prejeet PK is a queer activist also with us, and he's completing our panel. Let's get kick-started with Harish. Harish, day 2 of the arguments, how does it look? You know, when the court essentially is today saying, and it's telling the government that you had a concern yesterday saying that this is against India's culture. The centre had called this a quote-unquote an urban elitist concept. But the court today has made a distinction. The court is saying and asking the government, do you have any data to prove that? Because we don't have that. And the court essentially also saying, Harish, that this is essentially just a belief. How do you read into the arguments that we've seen so far on day 2? And what are you hoping for, Harish?
So one hopes against hope that things would get better and we will have a positive verdict in our favor. I mean, we all are hoping for that. But I don't really understand this urban elitist things because we have worked, at least I have worked in the grassroots. I've gone and spoken to people. Possibly they don't come out, and we people in bigger cities have the privilege of coming out. Our families might be more accepting, but that doesn't mean queer people don't exist everywhere. Queer people exist in every caste, in every religion, in every region of this country. Some of them have the privilege of coming out and speaking about it because we possibly have we belong in urban areas with access to friends and media and other things, but that doesn't mean that this is any way urban, and I don't understand the concept of elitist, the definition of elitist at all. But this is not an urban phenomena. People exist, queer people exist everywhere. I know of slums in Bombay where queer people exist. If this is not elitist, if you think that there are many people in the organization, Humsafar Trust and various other organizations who actually are from the slums. They are from they are from the lower strata of society. So there's nothing. I don't understand the concept of elitist, the definition of elitist. But if they mean that rich people, English-speaking people, that's very untrue. Even in urban areas, you have people from all stratas of society who are queer.
And I think, Harish, that's exactly why the Supreme Court has said that this is just perhaps a part of a belief. So I don't think they're even buying into that argument. Before I open this up with both Deshratan Nigam and Mithun Vijay Kumar, Prejeet, why don't you come in? When the government argues that marriage is not a fundamental right, it's rather governed by personal laws, it says that, marriage again, because it's a concurrent list, it's not a part of fundamental rights. It comes under the purview of states. So let's have a wider discussion, whether all state governments today are relatively ready to be able to accept this. Do you think that's a fair and a very, very balanced argument? Because clearly many would say that after decriminalization of homosexuality, Prejeet, this is a part of natural progression. But are we as a society, is our legal framework, is our legal system ready to accept it yet?
In a simple term, I would say this is injustice. This is injustice to the entire queer people, queer community in this country. Because India has a tradition. India has a tradition of diversity and acceptance. But after the, maybe we know that, after the Victorian, British rule, we become more rigid and, more moral in many ways. That is the main reason why we stand here We are talking about the human rights issues of some people in the community, in the society. And we in the sense, the so-called heterosexual people are claiming, are calling, are, pointing fingers to us and saying like, you are not human being. You don't have human rights. You don't have rights like us. You don't have constitutional rights like us. This is not about, constitution. This is not about, fundamental rights. This is not about, your rights. We will decide your rights. I'm saying like, this is injustice to certain people. We are, personally, I can say I'm a Dalit person. I am not belong to the urban elite group. I am coming from a rural village of India. Am I urban elite? No. As Harish brother says, like, we are in touch with, thousands of queer people who are not belong that particular, class distinction. So this is purely about fundamental rights. This is purely about, our constitutional rights. They are only, seeing marriage as a, a registered entity. No, we are not talking about that particular marriage system. We are talking about the associated rights, related with marriage. So that's why we are bothered, So denying marriage, people are, the so-called society, the government, the heterosexual people are denying our fundamental rights, our basic human rights. That's why, we are very hopefully expecting justice from Supreme Court, so that, we can also possess, we can also get, our fundamental, enjoy our fundamental rights.
Oh, absolutely. Prajit and Harish, no two thoughts about, I think, the sentiments that both of you gentlemen have expressed. But let me now listen in to the other side. What really has the government said and argued so far? And let's not forget, the petitioners have time till about tomorrow to be able to close their arguments. And then is where you will, in depth hear more arguments that have come in from those who are opposing this plea. And that includes the centre here. Deshrata Nigamji, because you're also a noted advocate, tell me one thing, sir. When the centre says that this is not a fundamental right, it's governed by personal laws, and the court right now does not want to get into the personal laws at all. It says we are not getting there. We will just look with the domain of the Special Marriage Act. Isn't that also myopic? Because there will be issues about, marriage and allied issues like inheritance, child rearing, childbearing, alimony, and much more. What happens to all that?
Well, Deepthi, in fact, these are some very, very important and relevant issues, because in our culture and civilization, the relationship between same-sex was recognized. There is no doubt about it. However, they were not given the status of a marriage. We have 8 forms of marriage, but same-sex marriage is not given any recognition. Yes, India is changing, but whether India has changed enough is a question. Second question is whether it is within the powers and functions of the Supreme Court to legislate on a subject which is actually should fall within the parliamentary domain, because nobody has any data, neither the Supreme Court nor the 2 panelists that they have it out here, because they have
but on that I have to come in here. Deshrata Nigamji, when you say that this has to be the domain of the parliament, you and I both know, everyone knows. Do you think parties like the RJD, parties like the JDU, parties like the Samajwadi Party will ever let this happen? I mean, or even the BJP for that matter, the Congress, will they ever go for this? We all know that the answer is negative. We all know what happened when it came to the issue of women reservation.
Let me answer. This question requires a social answer. Politicians are very sensitive to people's opinion. If there is sufficient pressure so far as this same-sex marriage is concerned, and they think if they go against that popular opinion, they will lose their own seat, tomorrow the law will be created in the parliament and passed unanimously. However, there is no sufficient demand for this law from the general public. Therefore, they're not paying attention to it. And today, and let me now give you a legal argument. Any amendment to a particular act can only be done by the parliament. Now, if courts start amending the acts, now this is amendment. Why? Under the Special Marriage Act, although the word person is being used, however, if you look at the various other provisions, the age of bride, it talks about age of bride has to be 18 and that of bridegroom 21. then who can file a divorce petition? Husband or wife. And therefore, when you look at the act or a particular statute, you have to look at the intention of the parliament when that particular law was passed. It was never discussed in the parliament whether it should be between same-sex marriage. It was always between man and woman. Can anybody show me from those parliamentary debates that it was about same-sex? The Supreme Court cannot go beyond the intention of that legislature. It has to confine itself.
But doesn't it say husband and wife? You know, as far as I remember, does it really speak about the genders, Harish? Doesn't it just specify husband and wife?
Husband has been defined.
I think what we want is the Special Marriages Act, which actually mentions about two people. Okay, it should be read as two people of any genders, two adults of any gender falling in love with each other. That's our ask. We are asking for the expansion to the interpretation of the Special Marriages Act to be interpreted in a way that any two people be allowed to get married to each other. So I'm not even talking about same-sex marriage here. I'm even speaking about something broader. I'm speaking about two adults marrying. I'm speaking about marriage equality, where a man and a trans person, two trans people, or for the matter, two lesbians, or a lesbian and a trans person, any two people should be allowed to get married. And what we are asking for is an expansion of the scope of the Special Marriages Act. There is an act. There is the Special Marriages Act. And if we can expand that, or we can interpret that to include any two people, just remove any barrier from that and make it about any two people who happen to be adults and who wish to get married with their own consent.
Okay. You know, I will have a counter to that, Harish, and I'll get Prijit also in just a moment. But Mithun hasn't spoken, so let's get his perspective on the debate also. You know, Mithun, how would you respond to both Harish and Prijit, who are also speaking about equal rights? And, I mean, will some people today decide what the other people can do in the country, like Deshratan Nigam Saab was also alluding? And then what about the parliament? Like I asked him, that are we expecting our politicians, our netas, to give a go-ahead for same-sex marriages? Do you think that they will do that? Is there a day that you believe that they will allow something like this to happen? Shouldn't we let the Supreme Court follow this natural progression after decriminalization of homosexuality?
See, I heard Mr. Harish and the other panelists, and they were speaking about the expansion of the scope of special marriage. Now, let's take one particular case into consideration. For example, the age. Now, for two people to get married, the bridegroom has to be 21 years and the bride has to be 18. Now, if you have to apply the same-sex marriage, if you have to apply this rule to the same-sex marriage, is the law going to take into consideration what they choose to identify themselves as, or their biological identity? These are questions that we should be asking. How will the same-sex couple file for restitution of conjugal rights? Because that essentially covers up, it talks about sexual intercourse. And how will the divorce and maintenance laws come into picture? How will the government provide schemes that are exclusively for women? So these are larger questions. See, we are not against decriminalization of same-sex couple living together or anything, but let's not go to the extent of saying there is no such thing as a biological man and a biological woman, because that's an insult to the ones who believe marriage involves a man and a woman. If it's all about what one identifies themselves as, let's not look down upon the ones who believe biological identity defines their gender. So why create this whole drama about this whole marriage thing can apply to same sex as well? I believe that it doesn't, and we have to look at the cultural aspect of this. We have to consider various other aspects of the law, which Deshratan Nigam ji has already mentioned.
But I will just defer on that account, Mithun, that instead of saying this is drama, or this is about someone's own personal identity, their personal choices. So I think, at least in today's day and time, we must extend that respect and that courtesy to our fellow human beings. It's about a choice. I mean, whatever I think about the issue is aside, but I'm just debating on the arguments that have come forward so far, because that is extremely important. I think the concerns that both you and Deshratan Nigam ji have raised are equally important versus what Harish and Prijit also have to say. So, Prijit, you want to respond to what Mithun and Deshratan Nigam have both said, talking of the fact that this is just then not limited to getting married. you will have to be also looking at, Harish, issues like inheritance, adoption, insurance, succession. There are a lot of other things. So when the Supreme Court says, Harish, that we'll just limit this to the Special Marriage Act, isn't that also myopic? Don't you want this to be, looked at perhaps at a broader ambit?
It's a starting step. We are beginning with the Special Marriages Act. The discussions are going to begin with that. But does that anyway mean that we are going to stop at that? No. We do not agree to be treated as second-class citizens. The Supreme Court has ordained in Section 377, Navteej Singh Johhar's verdict, it has said that this is a natural occurrence of nature. There is no debate on that per se. If it's natural, it's natural that I could stay with another man, I could fall in love with another man, I could have relationships with another man, then isn't the natural progression that we should be allowed to also get into a legal contract with each other where we are living together and getting together and living together and raising a family together like everyone else? Because this is not a drama, so to say. This is about real lives. When COVID hit us, there were several couples who were thrown out of their heterosexual families. They were thrown out of their families and they were living in different parts of Bombay and in other cities. And when one partner was dying, the other partner didn't have the right to actually sign and say that you can remove the plug. And their families were not supportive. It's about life and death situations for other people. And when we are speaking about rights, these rights are about the right to companionship. Yes, we will get to the road as well. We'll speak about companionship, inheritance, and all those conversations will happen. But let's begin the journey with same-sex marriage. Let's begin the journey with marriage equality.
Okay. I think Prajit is back. We were having some trouble connecting with him earlier. Prajit, as we are towards the fag end of our conversation right now, it's 2 days of some very, very brilliant arguments that have been made, a lot of perspectives, and an equally vociferous and a fierce counter that has come in now from the center, talking of how the states should get involved here, also saying there are discussions underway and let the parliament do what the parliament should do. The Supreme Court should not opine on it. How high are your hopes, Prajit, and how do you see this entire issue panning out? Again, I'll ask the basic fundamental question. Is everyone in the country today ready to accept same-sex marriages?
Yes. For me, am I audible first?
Yes, you are, Prajit.
Yes. Okay. I think this is the last trick by the union government. This is the last trick of the union government, to tackle, to defend their arguments by inviting, states into the matter, states into the, case. Unless until, maybe in 2015, there was a case in Supreme Court, after the Nalsa, before the Nalsa in 2013, 2013, the Supreme Court squashed, the decriminalizing case in 2013, and they gave it to the interest of the parliament. And what happened in that case, parliament doesn't consider, they didn't consider our rights. And what happened in Nalsa, Supreme Court again accepted us in 2017, the 377 case, we got, justice, a favorable, decision. Also, we are expecting the same in this case. That's why, in the Tushar Mehta, he is claimed this is not a matter to be discussed in the Supreme Court. This is a matter to be discussed in the parliament. That's again their, view in this human rights issue. They have no interest to consider same gender marriage as a matter, as their consideration. That's why they are, seriously again and again, claiming inviting states into this matter. And, maybe after the entry of states, the case can be, there are chances it can be, prolonged to years. So that is again a problem for the queer community. So for the time being, Supreme Court must consider our, request and at least allow, Special Marriage Act, for, marriage and all. That's a matter, needs importance, and that's a matter of human rights issues.
Okay.
That's why we are, claiming and talking, discussing, conversating again about human right as key point in this issue.
Okay.
Can I comment for 10 seconds?
All right. We've completely run out of time. Deshratan Nigam wants to come in. Only 5 seconds, sir. Only 5 seconds for you.
So, the judgment should not make things complicated. It should simplify. Here, this judgment will complicate various other aspects. And secondly, if a judgment is ahead of its time, then it will go Sabrimala way and Jallikattu way. It will not be obeyed. Please remember that the way it happened
ahead
in
of its time. Okay. I think it all boils down to the culture versus the right debate. It's like the Supreme Court has heard day 2 of the arguments. I'm sure we are at Republic will have a number of other shows and conversations. I thank all of you, Deshratan Nigam, Mithun, Harish and Prajeet, for your time and your perspective. On the other side, we have more insight and more debates coming up. Don't go anywhere.
$13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
You come from the Northeast, but then the concept of integrated India, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat Kar, this concept is very relevant to every state and specifically the Northeast. So I think it's the balance and between that, and I think the leadership along with the flexibility in the constitutional framework that we have is really what will allow this beautiful nation of ours, which has this complexity, yet, as you said, the nation first approach is really what is a way to move forward in. And so I think there is always a way forward, respecting the different communities, respecting the difference that we have, and yet keeping the nation first is really the way forward that we need.
आज की सर्विस जो कि एक बहुत ही क्रांतिकारी सर्विस के तौर पर माना जा रहा है, भारत सबसे अधिक तीव्र गति से डिजिटलीकरण करने वाली इकोनॉमी है।
That at every point, any agency, whether it's the ED, the CBI, the ACB, questions need to be raised on them?
I personally think that in a democratic country, Parliament must have full control of the agencies as well. Why do we make them into what is called a holy cow, that nobody can touch them? They must be made answerable. You may not interfere in a specific investigation, but at the end of the day, they must be made accountable to Parliament.
As a young man from Ladakh, how do you see the abrogation of 370 and now being united through that step?
केवल 370 ही नहीं हटा, एक सक्षम राष्ट्र बनाने के लिए, एक देश को मजबूत करने का जो निर्णय पहले लेना चाहिए था, जो अटके हुए थे 70 सालों से, वो हुआ है। और ये केवल एक ही सरकार का एक ही अचीवमेंट में नहीं गिना जाएगा। आने वाले पीढ़ी जन्म जन्म तक इसको याद रखेंगे।
Dear viewers, in a few days we are bringing to you once again the Republic Summit. And this year our theme is fittingly about how this is a time of transformation. Yes, this is a time of transformation for an India that is growing 4 times faster than the world average. It is a time of transformation for an India whose manufacturing exports grow 40% year on year on the back of COVID, while China witnesses a major loss. This is a time of transformation, of opportunity for India that has let go of the dollar hangover, and the rupee is closer to being accepted as international currency. And nearly 60% of all digital payments are already UPI based. Isn't this the very moment to come together and think of how we can make the transformation even quicker? So please join me and join all of us at Republic TV as we bring to you the Republic Summit this year on the theme of a time of transformation. See you there.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
How tough is it for a sportsman or an athlete to get out of this phase and emerge victorious eventually?
The contest between the ball and a bat, I think whether it's the World Cup final or it's any other game, I know it's difficult. It's difficult to accept that it's another game of cricket, but that is how a sportsman needs to think, and that is how I prepared myself. Because ultimately, whether it's the World Cup final or it's the first game of the World Cup, the contest is not the World Cup final. The contest is between the bowler and a batsman. So ultimately, I have to beat the next ball which I end up playing, and I've got to do the best of my whatever I could.
Trending burning question, powered by General Air Conditioners.
Getting in some more breaking news right now. This comes after the Ministry of Home Affairs had recommended a CBI probe against Oxfam. We're picking up that a fresh FIR has been registered by the Central Bureau of Investigation against Oxfam. Remember, earlier Oxfam had come under the scan of the Income Tax Department. There was a survey that was carried out by the CBDT, and essentially they found out that Oxfam was planning to circumvent provision of the FCRA by routing funds to other FCRA registered associations, that too through non-profit consultancy route. In fact, following the survey, essentially they've come across the fact that they were still diverting the funds, and more importantly, the Oxfam India has received foreign contribution that's amounting to about 1.5 crore rupees and directly into its foreign contribution utilization account instead of receiving the foreign contribution in a designated FCRA account. Now, these are some of the preliminary findings from the income tax survey that was carried out against Oxfam. This is undoubtedly a big setback given the fact that the George Soros backing group basically now comes under the scanner of the Central Bureau of Investigation. That's the latest details. We're picking up a story that we'll be tracking very closely. Hello and welcome. You're watching the Trending Burning Question with me, Shavan Sen. Our focus today is what's really happening in Karnataka. With political parties holding mega rallies and roadshows, the stage is now all set for a poll-bound Karnataka. Now, the top guns of BJP and the Congress both held rallies in their constituencies, from incumbent Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai's star-studded campaign in Shigaon to Congress's Siddaramaia's rally in Varuna. Now, it's a high-stake battle in Karnataka, but who people will choose, only 13th of May will tell. But the question here is that what are the basic issues that we are talking about these elections in Karnataka? Is it all about the star-studded campaigns, or does it really go beyond that? How exactly will the BJP duck the anti-incumbency that they are facing at this point in time? Take a look at this report and then we start the Trending Burning Question.
It's a high-stake battle for Karnataka. The BJP is in carpet bombing mode. From Prime Minister Modi set to hold over 20 rallies, to JP Nadda and Yogi Adityanath's more than 25 rallies scheduled. The top guns of the BJP are out in the battlefield. Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai expressed confidence of a landslide victory.
No, there will be, this time it will be a record margin than the previous ones. I don't count, but I can feel will be record march.
Kiccha Sudeep kept his promise for Mama Basavaraj Bommai, where he campaigned for the BJP in Shigaon today and turned the rally into a fan fest. From Varuna, Siddaramaiah played the last election card. He tried to woo the voters by playing the emotional card of his retirement from electoral politics, and the Congress expressed confidence of winning polls with under Siddaramaiah's magic.
सिद्धरामैया साहब ने आज पब्लिक का क्रेज देखे होंगे, जिधर भी जा रहे पब्लिक, बड़ी तादाद में पब्लिक आ रही है. अभी ये देखे होंगे मजमा बाहर, और सिद्धरामैया का जो है इधर होम टाउन है, इन्हें उनका घर है. मेरे हिसाब से ये पब्लिक का मजमे का जोश देख के, ये आवाम का ये देख के मेरे को लग रहा है इस बार कम से कम 1 लाख लीड होगा सिद्धरामैया का, 1 लाख लीड होएगा.
But will the anti-incumbency help Congress, or will Kiccha factor help BJP sweep away the polls? Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Well, in fact, is the BJP essentially depending on star campaigners? Will that be the case, or will they once again piggyback on the goodwill of the Prime Minister? Will this election be fought on local issues, or would it once again resonate the national issues? Joining us from the BJP, Madhu N. Rao, BJP spokesperson, Shyam Prasad Meka, leader from the Congress Party, T.R. Prasad Gowda, JDS leader, joining us. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the trending burning question. Let me straight away begin by asking first to the BJP, Madhu N. Rao. Madhu N. Rao, we've essentially seen that whenever the Bharatiya Janata Party goes through troubled times, their final resort would certainly be the Prime Minister, the charisma that the Prime Minister basically enjoys, and we are hoping that wave will help you overcome the anti-incumbency that you are facing.
Good evening, gentlemen. I think the issue of anti-incumbency is something which is not correct. Because had it been the case, perhaps we would have not seen so much of people's support while we are filing the nominations. Look at the people who have come for filing nomination for Mr. Preetam Gowda.
But that's the same claim that former Chief Minister of Karnataka, Siddaramaiah, also says. Madhura, that's the same claim even the Congress Party is saying. That cannot be the barometer of how well you are going to do. But the question here is that you're basically now relying. Your question is on two parts. Madhura, let's get into specifics rather than getting into rhetoric. Because if I let that happen, the Congress Party will also say the same thing. Then look at the crowd that came in when Siddaramaiah was going in for the nomination. So let's stick to the basics. Madhura, just hear me out.
We have a leadership.
Madhura, 1 minute. Let me keep it very specific. The reason why is because we do not have enough time. So let's keep it very specific, short, so that people understand what are we really talking about. Madhura, I'm asking you a simple question. There are corruption issues that are plaguing your government. This has been time and again raked by the Congress Party. You seem to be diverting that issue by bringing in campaigners, stars, because you're hoping that your stars would be aligning differently if you bring in star campaigners.
Shaban, I'll be very brief since the time is very less, as you have pointed out. Well, let me start with corruption, since you started with corruption. The Congress Party or the persons who are supporting the Congress Party like Empanna, they have never given an iota of evidence till date. Neither have they given before the Lokayukta, which is the constitutional body, nor have they given to any court of law. So therefore, let it rest aside the issue. They have not given any iota of evidence. Point number one. Point number two, it is only their toolkit which is trying to promote that it's 40% corruption. They have not been able to prove anywhere in a court of law in terms of the constitutional provisions. Point number three, when we are talking about our campaigning, let me be very clear. We are banking on our performance, development, on our social reengineering. We have been very vocal on that. Yes, with regard to reservation issues, we have given reservation to SC, STs. We have hiked it. We have given new the category for 2C and 2D for Vokalika and Vokalika and Lingayat. So therefore, we are banking, and we were the persons who have made the development issues. For example, let it be Bangalore-Mysore Expressway. Let it be airports. Let it be the amount of money which is spent in the ports for the development of the ports in Mangalore. So therefore, to say that We are only banking on the stars. It is
You've
not
laid
correct.
out. You've laid out the report card. Mr. Rao, you've laid out the report card for your government, and rightfully so, as the spokesperson of the party. I think so. The principal opposition also deserves to question you on that ground, because essentially there are larger concerns. And Mr. Meka, you can come in. As far as civic apathy is concerned, preceding to the election, we have seen several such incidents actually taking place in the city of Bengaluru. But the election is not only about Bengaluru, it is about the entire state. As far as the Congress party is concerned, what is it that you are essentially offering? Because what is happening right now is that the perception essentially that is being created is that those who have not been given tickets in the Bharatiya Janata Party by the Bharatiya Janata Party are now switching over to the Congress party. The Congress party does not have fresh faces, unlike what the BJP has. Now they are touting this as their trump card.
See, Shravan, don't interrupt me. You have asked 2-3 different questions. One, why so many people are coming and Congress party is giving them tickets? No, Congress party has only given tickets to a couple of people. We, in fact, have a flurry of BJP folks coming to Congress, and only a couple of people were given tickets. So that blows your argument out of the window. Second, you think what is you are asking what is our argument? Our argument is this is a corrupt government. Even the state or this double engine sarkar at the national level, this model is a failed model, and we are offering an alternative vision to this country. Third, you are saying about the image of the Prime Minister as if it is a foregone conclusion agreed by everybody. No, to fight, to help the corrupt Karnataka government, the brand ambassador of corruption is coming to help them. No, it's not going to help them. Mr. Modi is not
I think I have to take a strong objection to this. I'll have to take a strong objection to this.
No, you can.
People are not able to prove a 40%, and you want to make charges against the Prime Minister.
Oh, come on.
You being from a corrupt Congress party. What are you talking about?
Listen to me.
Don't make allegations against him. Don't make allegations against Prime Minister without any evidence.
Gentlemen, Mr. Meka and Mr. Rao. Mr. Meka and Mr. Rao. Okay. Mr. Meka and Mr. Rao. The propensity, 1 minute. Mr. Rao and Mr. Meka. You know, the propensity, 1 minute, please, hold on. Mr. Rao and Mr. Meka. Mr. Meka, just hold on. Mr. Meka, just hold on. You know, the propensity that these political... 1 minute, Mr. Meka, just hold on. You can continue with this entire rhetoric, but let me just... Mr. Meka, hold on. Mr. Rao, 1 minute. You want to corner Mr. Meka as far as the charges that he's basically leveling against the Prime Minister? You can. I will give you the opportunity, but allow him to make his point. Mr. Meka, just a quick question before you continue. You say that you're basically fighting against corruption. One of your tall leaders, D.K. Shivakumar, himself faces serious charges. Whether that's proven before the court or not, that's a different matter altogether. But having said that, even you face it. You perhaps cannot really take that high moral ground. Even for that matter, the BJP cannot take that high moral ground. It's for the people to really decide what's going to really happen for them. But I'll come back to this one last question that I want to take with you before I bring in the JDS. As far as the Congress party is concerned, you say that the BJP is a corrupt government. Then why is it so very difficult for the Congress party to do exactly, for example, what Annamala is doing right now in Tamil Nadu, saying that I'm going to expose the DMK by putting out proof of corruption? I, for that matter, haven't really seen that kind of proof that you've put out on the table for the people of Karnataka to see and believe what you are accusing.
There is no need for proof. We are too close to elections. Wait a minute. The proof is given by the people. For example, the Contractors Association president himself or the people of Karnataka are leveling the charges. No, please ask the BJP spokesperson to be decent.
Mr. Rao, allow him to speak. Mr. Rao, let's not do. We have a short. This is a short debate. Mr. Rao, don't do that. Just allow him to complete. Otherwise, we're not going to proceed. Just a quickly, Mr. Meka, finish it because I also want to bring in Mr. Gowda.
This government is corrupt, and we have provided an alternative vision. both at the national level and at Karnataka level. Don't try to project the Prime Minister image and all that. Prime Minister is the brand ambassador of corruption. He will help Congress win Karnataka. Let's see.
This is wrong.
Okay. Just, Mr. Rao, a quick rebuttal coming in from you, and then I want to bring in Mr. Gowda. Okay, Mr. Meka, you made your point. Mr. Rao, a quick response to what Mr. Meka is saying. Mr. Meka is saying that you are essentially a government which is completely corrupt, and no other than the contractors themselves have basically leveled that allegation against you. You've not been able to wash that off as yet.
I promise you I won't take more than 45 seconds. Please stop me if I take more than 45 seconds. I will let you know something. In July 2022, Kempanna, who is perhaps the mouthpiece of his Congress, he himself told that if whenever the union officials are coming, I will give the evidence. He did not give any evidence. One of our ministers, Mr. Munratna, Kempanna alleged against him about corruption charges. He filed a defamation case against him in 8th ACMM. Believe you me, this guy Kempanna and 18 others did not provide any iota of evidence. Summons were issued. He did not turn up. NPW was issued, arrested. That point also they did not give any evidence. What sort of an issue they are talking? Don't they know that there is something called as Lokayukta, which is a constitutional body? Don't they know that they have to go give a complaint? Do they need international court of justice to go and give a complaint?
Mr. Rao,
shame on them.
allow me to. We are running out of time. 1 minute. Okay, Mr. Rao and Mr. Meka, you made your points from your respective party. Let me also bring in T.R. Prasad Gowda of the JDS. Mr. Gowda, let me ask you, which way are you really swinging? Because as far as both the parties are concerned, they have made their point very clear. But whenever it comes to the role of the JDS, no one knows which way is it swinging. Is it swinging towards the BJP or is it swinging towards the Congress party? Where are you standing? Because it does not seem that you are really fighting the election with some particular issue or an agenda.
As a matter of fact, this 2023 elections, we are very serious, and we are agenda based, and we wanted to form the government on our own with simple majority. We are not neither join our hands with BJP nor with the Congress, because we have faced problem with both the parties. This 2023 will be a regional party. Will going to form the government. That is for sure. After 20 days, you will going to witness it, sir. Because the way our former Chief Minister Kumaraswamy has given the administration, and the people have seen how he has given the best administration during his tenure of 14 months, along with the Congress, and within the small time which he has got, he has waived off the farmer loans up to the tenure, up to the extent of 27,000 crores. It's a very big amount at the period of 14 months. He has given word from the day when you become the chief minister.
When was the last?
Has done it, and we are going before the public.
Okay.
All six crore people with clean answer, with clean
Mr. Gowda,
and we are with our own manifesto. We have very good manifesto, and people are blessing us. And this time, wherever Kumaraswamy goes, whether in North Karnataka or in South Karnataka,
you've still not answered my question. You are saying that you are not going to go with the Congress or you're not going to go with the BJP. When was the last when any of the governments could actually, any of the political parties form a government with a simple majority in the state of Karnataka? I just want a quick rapid fire round with the Congress and the BJP on this matter. Mr. Gowda, first with you.
Yes, sir.
If a situation comes up of a hung assembly, are you still willing to go with the Congress party, or you are basically looking at some sort of an option with the BJP? A quick answer from you, and then I'll take it to Mr. Meka and Mr. Rao.
Sir, this time we have a strong belief that this people of Karnataka will not allow to form hung assembly, and we are hopefully this time is a regional party will going to form the government. That is for sure. Kumaraswamy will be the next CM for 2023 after this election, sir.
Mr. Meka, before I end the debate, a quick question as far as the Congress party is concerned, because the infighting seems to be written on everyone's face. DK Shivakumar has indicated that if need be, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge could become the chief minister. Who exactly is the chief ministerial face of your party?
No, that's not our policy. We're not going to announce that. Simple thing is, this is a hypothetical question. We are going to form the government with more than 140 or around 150 seats. And that's clearly the message we are receiving from the people. And Congress government with full majority is going to come. Okay. And we are going to elect the chief minister according to the democratic principles of our party.
Okay. And a quick question to Mr. Rao, a quick question to you. Are you really perhaps piggy-banking first on Sudeep Kiccha and the celebrity quotient? And of course, finally, the Prime Minister also stepping in with, we're hearing that there could be over 25 rallies that the Prime Minister would be doing. There's no confirmation really coming in. But that's largely the buzz that there will be yet another blitzkrieg by the Prime Minister. Are you heavily dependent on that?
Shravan, we have a leadership and we are very proud to say that Mr. Modi is our leader, unlike the Congress who do not have any leader. And yes, of course, Kiccha is of course a star campaigner. Congress do not have stars, they do not have campaigners, they only gaze at stars. That is point number one. Point number two, I think we are going to get 150. There's no question of we not getting 150. Please, Congress, please be quiet. This is something discussion and don't interrupt. And mind you, the Congress party, well, a party which cannot guarantee its own MP a comeback in the Lok Sabha is trying to guarantee itself a 150 seats in Karnataka. This is hilarious for me. That will never happen. We are going to get 150 seats. There's no question about it. We rely on our development, performance and our social reengineering. We are very proud of our development projects. Unlike the Congress party, their toolkit seems to be going wrong. Well, congrats to them. Keep on doing this as an opposition party.
Thank you.
In the time to come. Thank you.
With all humility, we accept your congratulations.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, okay, gentlemen, I'm really running short of time, but thank you very much, Mr. Rao, Mr. Meka, as well as Mr. Gowda for joining us with the trending burning question. In fact, Republic's detailed coverage on what's really happening in Karnataka. We'll get you detailed reports with every passing day. Thank you very much for watching the trending burning question.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents Republic Summit, Time of Transformation. Co-powered by Raven Group, manufacturers of electric cables and solar systems. Bharosa Rakho, Surakshit Raho. Mine Super App and beyond. Knowledge partner, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Education for Life, Education for Living. Infrastructure partner, Rungta Steel TMT Bar, Ekdam Solid. MSME partner, You Grow Capital.
इस देश में बहुत समय के बाद एक ऐसी सरकार आई है जो सरकार टिकाने के लिए नहीं चल रही, देश को सुधारने के लिए सरकार चल रही है।
ये पहला एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ है जहां पे आप इस पर विस्तृत तौर से इन डिटेल आप बात करेंगे, तो लेट अस एड्रेस ऑल इश्यूज।
The crown of the leadership I convey to Prime Minister Modi of India.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी G20 इवेंट के दौरान नेताओं के साथ द्विपक्षीय बैठक करेंगे।
World leaders have promised everything to everyone in the so-called Sustainable Development Goals. Not surprisingly, the world and all the G20 countries are vastly off track to deliver. Even India won't deliver everything, but India has improved faster than any other G20 nation from 2015 to 19. India shows that prioritizing achievable, deliverable development matters. Yet the rich world incessantly stress climate change. And yes, climate is a challenge, but one of many. And currently, climate policies cost trillions of dollars, yet deliver trivial temperature reductions in a century from now. In a world where we can't do everything, India is uniquely placed to demand the world focus on the most efficient development policies first. Growth, jobs, education, health is at the top of India's priorities, as it is across most of the world. Climate is there too, but nowhere near the top. I will talk about how smart policies can help India and the world achieve amazing progress for little money. Better education, ending tuberculosis, more trade, lower mortality for mothers and infants, higher agricultural production, and better nutrition. Chairing the